square here, just because with the rotation, it'll make it look more like it's actually. We're going to do Control P, just kind of open things up, and you'll see it's actually it's a little bit smaller. Tends not to work completely correctly, so we drag them somewhere where Fog of War is enabled. Sometimes it doesn't work correctly, and you just gotta futz with it. It's not perfect. Sorry. The other way you can do this is go and just excuse me, right click on the character, and that will go to excuse me, the light source, and do it that way. And you'll see now if we click on this guy, this thin border up here, because I've set him to a huge light source now, and I press Control P, he can see everything. So then we're going to go to the light source, clear all, and now he can't see that far actually. So if there was a monster out there, he wouldn't be able to see it. And so I'm going to switch view, turn off my player view so I can actually find my guy. And then we'll give him a light source. We'll give him an aura of 3. There you go. And you see it's a the difference between auras and whatnot is that how well you can see them. Anyway, so we're gonna go back to Dungeon Master View for a moment. And well, we're gonna kind of forget about Awesome Sauce for a little bit here, but we'll give him a normal light source. Bright. I think it's also partly because of the map. The way I have it set up is need to give him more of a light source than normal. Okay, all right. So let's leave Awesome Sauce over there on his own for now. And what we're going to do is we're going to drag our buddy here up to the door. And what you see, obviously, in GM view is you can see where all the monsters are. Or if I go back to player view, so view show as player, I can't see any monsters in there because I have set up this map to have topology. So let's go back to our GM view and we can see how I did that. And so you may have not noticed before, there are several tools right under the file menus. You have the interaction tool, which you'll use for dragging around characters. The drawing tool is actually how I set up these very, very nifty black walls here. There is a template tool, so if you want to put in a certain types of templates. There's a fog tool if you want to do fog of war, if you want to add fog of war over something that has previously been exposed for whatever reason. And then finally there's the topology tools, and now you should see these blue lines, and I'll just zoom in here. And what these blue lines do is they represent sites that are blocked. So I've drawn blue lines through all the walls since you can't see through a wall. And then thicker blue lines through here. I can draw thin lines, doesn't really matter. There's a column of some sort here. That's what the big blue square is. And then through the doors, they have topology through them as well. So something I didn't cover previously is about tokens. So we're going to go back to the selection tool. So we've got these 4 different layers here, which you may or may not have noticed. Token, hidden, object, background. Hidden is not visible to the players. Background is where you're going to want to put your map. Object is going to be things that players can potentially interact with, and we'll go over why in a second. So you notice if I'm on the object layer, oops, let me go to the token layer, just move this guy back a little bit. We'll move him over here. Move back here a couple steps more. Alright, so on the, so if I go to token layer here, I can't click on the door, nothing happens other than going back to GM view. Similarly, if I click on object layer, I can't click on my guy anymore, nothing happens, but I can click on these nifty little doors that I put in here. So let's go to the token layer for a moment. Let's say my guy walks up to the door and he decides he's going to open the door. As a GM, you have a couple different ways to handle this. One is you can go to the object, and since I pasted this in as a token, what I can do is double click on it and assure that this gets recorded, hopefully. On here, under the config tab, there's an option called visible layers. So hopefully you can do is unclick visible to player, click A, and now if I go back to my token layer and view show as player, I don't see the door anymore. But I still can't see the guy because topology currently is not attached to a token. It will be hopefully in a future edition, but it isn't right now. So if I was going to do that, what I would do is then I would go at first remove the door, and then what I would do is go into my topology tool. I'm going to click a solid rectangle. You can also do hollow rectangles, which is how I did the initial map here around the walls. And I'm going to hold down the shift button, and I'm just going to draw a rectangle equal to what the character would be able to see through. And now, if I go back to my selection tool and click on my buddy here, he can see through the door. So instead, let's do something different. Let's go back to our GM view for a moment. We're going to go down to the object layer. We're going to turn off view as player. So we're going to put that door back in here. So we're going back to the edit token, and we're going to go visible to player. We're going to click that back on there. However, if I click on my guy here, excuse me, go back to the token layer, click on visible, you can see he can still see it because, again, topology is not associated with the token. So what I have to do is then go into my topology tool, just a little eye there, and I'm just going to draw a solid rectangle through there. Just like that. And now, again, he can't, oops, I apparently made a little gap here that he can see a crack through. That's a crappy door that I've put in. Anyway, so now he can't, again, he can't see through, if I click on him, he can't see through the door. You know, obviously take a little more care than what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of doing it on the fly. But let's say instead he wants to crack the door open. So what I'm going to do is go to my object layer, and I'm going to click on this. And now I'm going to go back into here, and I want to show something on in the configuration window. The shape of the token is top down. Circle and square are what our player tokens are after a minute. So this is great for doing interactable objects because you can do this. So instead of removing the door, what I can do is hold down Shift and Control and use my mouse wheel. I can actually crack open the door like this, and then what I'll do just to make it look a little nicer is go into the window, and I'm going to adjust the layout a little bit. I'm going to move it more towards